got like 5 of them all over the city. Streets, avenues, roads, it's super confusing.
No, it was most certainly Fleetwood Drive. I remember seeing the sign and saying to myself, Granddaddy used to drive a Fleetwood.
You don't mess with Eugene. You can antagonize Beta, you can annoy Daryl, but if you dare mess with Eugene and you've gone a step too far, you're gonna get it.
Saying to myself, Granddaddy used to drive a Fleetwood.
In today's video, we're going to be reviewing and breaking down The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 15, The Tower. And of course, talking about the Easter eggs and the things you might have missed. And just what I thought of the episode. Of course, before we begin, make sure you subscribe or you are a Nicholas. Imagine going on in your life and being a Nicholas. I couldn't do it. I'd have to subscribe and become more like Rick. That's just what I'd do. So let's start off with talking about Princess. Her scenes in this episode were actually really good. They didn't put this obnoxious, crazy character in the show and all the characters all of a sudden start automatically liking her. As some of you might know, I wasn't a massive fan of her first appearance because I'm just not really into obnoxious things like that. I just knew Princess would be like this. I don't think anyone needed this in their face, but this episode she proved that she's more than that. Slightly. I really like this minefield scene because there's no better situation for Princess to be in. She had spent a year alone in this city, and so she took these 3 characters the long way round just to spend more time with them. And it was funny. I think it was good that we had this scene especially with Princess because, like I said, her first introduction, I didn't really like her. Because it's just a small taste of what we're going to continuously get from Princess. Even behind the scenes they said this character is like a puppy. They've got this new puppy. But I actually see the secret meaning behind that is you're just going to get bored of it. She's inserted this new energy into the show and it feels good now. Because it's refreshing, but so is getting your hand shut in a fucking car door. It feels good now. We've got this new kick, this new energy into the show, but we're going to look back at it and regret it. Like alcohol. I really liked how, in the end, Eugene found empathy with Princess.
I have an all too familiar sense of how you feel.
Out of all the people she could have related with, I don't think she wanted it to be you, Eugene. If Eugene ever said he related with me, I'd knock myself out. Imagine being alone in a city for a whole year, and the first person to say they relate to you is Eugene, saying, I don't know how you feel. If you ever said that to me, I'd blow my brains out. In the end, Princess leads them to this garage where they find bikes, like bicycles. Please, I don't ask for much. Let me see Eugene on a bike. Best season ever if we get Eugene on a bike. I mean, angry Eugene has already made my year. And of course, acknowledging the obvious, the water tower death did not happen. Now, I'm not completely disappointed in that because I think it can still happen. But I was more disappointed that the episode was called The Tower, yet it didn't happen. Who named these episodes? Because they've got to have known the water tower death happened at this exact time. Literally the exact time. Now, we know what the tower actually is now, and it's the place they're staying at. All the communities, all of their people have ran to the hospital, and it's called The Tower. So what does that mean? Is that anything to do with the water tower death? Well, in fact, I think it is. In this episode, when we see throughout this building, we see all of the characters present. Well, apart from Rosita, which we'll get into. And we see the jobs and roles that each character will play. We even had Negan being the cook, which is... I'll get into that too, fuck. But the thing that stuck with me the most is Gabriel say to Diane, it's your turn to watch.
Your turn to watch.
So that means Gabriel was on watch. Diana makes sense, she's an archer, but Gabriel, that's slightly worrying for obvious reasons. What was Gabriel doing in the comics? He was a scout, he was on watch. He's at a place called The Tower. If you're going to be on watch, you're going to be up high. So yeah, I think this death can still happen. Remember, the only reason we tied it to episode 15 was because of the name. Beta went to Alexandria and it was already different to the comics because they weren't there. There was nothing to defend. Now they're there. Now these scenes can actually be adapted. So whoever is on watch is likely to get this death. And we have heard who is on watch. Listen to this, and if you can, listen to what's said.
Sorry,
You're breaking up, I can't hear you.
come back. They surrounded the
Gabriel!
wagon.
Gabriel!
Try not to have a literal heart attack when I tell you what I actually found out this said. Listen again.
Sorry,
You're breaking up, I can't hear you.
come back. They surrounded the
Gabriel!
wagon.
Gabriel!
Gabriel is saying to Daryl on the walkie-talkie, we're surrounded, and he does mutter the word, ladder. It could just be some characters telling Gabriel about it, and of course he's the one with the walkie-talkie, or he's the leader of Alexandria in the council, so he would be the one to try and tell Daryl. But don't you think it's weird that they showed us Gabriel telling Deanne it's her turn to go on watch? Why is he on watch in the first place as a leader of the council? But more importantly, why is he on watch if he's got one eye? Beta and his horde are entering through the front of the hospital. Gabriel and everyone else is in this one room, but wherever Gabriel and Deanne go on to watch, it's gonna be a bit higher, and that's why Gabriel is saying here about a ladder. I think there's a massive possibility that Gabriel gets this death. Just like the comics, just like that actor said he wanted. Could be Deanne, it could just not happen. But what we've been shown in this episode is more than just it not happening. We heard that Gabriel was on watch. They're in a place called the Tower. I'm expecting this death to happen at the very beginning of the finale. I think it's what we need to show us what it's really going to be about, because so far these past 2 episodes have been quite dull. I've liked them, but we need this. The finale is the end to the Whisperer War, so I think we need to see it. Angela Kang said Maggie would return in the nick of time. Hopefully that means saving all these characters. Why would they even need saving if Daryl's got his plan? I think it's going to go very wrong, and I think we need a lot of deaths. Gabriel dying at the beginning would make sense. Interestingly enough, we didn't see Rosita in this episode. I think we just have to assume she's at the tower. The actress did of course go to film a promo for her Netflix series at the time of episode 14. So it's likely she does survive season 10 only to be seen in season 11. But like I said, her death has been foreshadowed too, so I think if she doesn't die in late season 10, season 11 will be her time to go. Season 10 does seem to be running out of time to even have the deaths that I've said, and that just means they're going to happen in season 11. The foreshadowings don't lie. Or I could just be wrong. Nah.
But if there is something that you want to say to me, then you should say it.
Most of us wish he had died too.
God, he regretted saying that, didn't he? The Negan and Lydia scenes were really good in this episode. Of course, Lydia now knows that Negan killed Alpha. We can't tell for sure because of the situation that they're in, but it seems for right now, Negan is one of them. I think we're going to see it a lot more when they're fending off Beta's horde, but for right now, there's an element of trust there if Negan's even cooking for them. I do think we should have got so much more with Daryl and Negan. Like I said, I think what happened in episode 14 shouldn't have even happened yet. I think that should have happened in the finale, and right now, Negan should be chained and sat down. I feel like it's happened way too quick, and I think of all things to change from the comic, that's not a very good thing to change. I think Daryl should have a constant hate for Negan. Regardless of what you see on screen, he's being friendly with him. To be fair, that is a part of Daryl that he's letting go, simply to be the leader. He can't hold personal grudges against Negan at a time like this. I hope in the finale we see a lot more from Negan so that he can get to that stage even further than he is now. When things go bad at the hospital, I think they need to get Negan out there. When it gets really bad, have Negan on the front lines. Let Daryl see him actually do it. Of course, he saved him in episode 14, but to have him out there on the front line, Daryl seeing him risk his life like that, I think that's what he's gonna do to actually become one of them. Because right now he's just a villain that's done something for Carol to purely be seen as the hero. There was a really nice scene with Kelly and Carol this episode, and it's small scenes like this that I think make it so good. Carol was saying she's sorry about Connie to Kelly, and Kelly said it's not her fault. Also, Connie will be fine. In the end, I do think it's more possible Connie is okay, and I think Kelly is actually more likely to die. Now, the fact that Judith hasn't told Daryl about the possibility of Rick Grimes' survival yet was okay at first, because we're seeing it from a child's perspective. It's easy to forget, but remember, she's 10 years old, and she didn't want to tell Daryl because she thought Daryl would leave. Because Judith thought, of course, Daryl being Daryl would go and help Michonne if Judith revealed the real true story. And they had a really nice scene, but after that, she proceeded to not tell him, and it just becomes a really frustrating story point. At what point in time will Daryl actually find out about this now? A part of me thinks the reason they're not telling him now is because when Rick Grimes actually appears in the flesh next to him, it will be a big surprise for him and they can have that scene, but in the process, there's just no logic behind Judith not telling him now, so we've lost that logic. Especially knowing how The Walking Dead does things, he could just find out off screen now, and we haven't had that scene that could have perfectly happened just there. I mean, think about Lydia already knowing about Alpha's death. Were you waiting for a scene where she actually found out and we saw her reaction to it? We didn't get it. It was such a big deal, yet it happened off screen. Sometimes it can be a good thing and it can speed things up, but I know most people watching this just wanted Judith to tell him.
Nothing can take the place of someone you love being gone. But that doesn't mean that everything that follows is going to break your heart.
I got why Judith didn't tell Daryl at first, and I really liked this scene. What Daryl said to Judith was so good. But it got past the point where it was just a kid's perspective. It got to the point where Judith didn't even think about it because she wasn't written to. Interestingly, we saw Aaron and Alden were captured. Now, this is likely how they found out about the hospital. I think it's odd that the Whisperers would take any hostages when Beta's like this. If he's in leadership, surely they'd just be dead. I'm hoping they just escape and join the other characters in battle, but I do think one of them could die purely because of how The Walking Dead does things. Why would they even take hostages? This is actually the second time Alden has been a Whisperer hostage. This could also be how Aaron and Alden get closer to Beta. They kill these Whisperers, they get their masks, walk among the herd, get close to Beta and kill him. So whilst Alden and Aaron deal with Beta, the other characters, like Daryl, would lead the herd away into the ocean, or destroy them in some other way. It's the show, probably some explosions. Of course, this will all happen in the finale, and I'll have a video dedicated to the finale soon, talking about my predictions and when we can actually expect to see it. Of course, it was delayed to later this year for obvious reasons, but it won't be too long and we'll be able to see the finale very soon. But for now, what do you think of episode 15? Did you want to see more of this episode? Did you want to see a bit more action to then be hyped up for the finale? Were you happy with this episode? What did you think of it? Make sure you vote in the poll and of course let me know what you thought down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you press the like button. It genuinely helps me out and will get this video more seen. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you check out my other videos. Make sure you check out my review of episode 14. It suggests a massive character will die in the finale. Watch this to find out who. And watch this video to be all up to date on the Rick Grimes and their CRM storyline. Make sure you're ready for all the latest. And of course, make sure you subscribe so that you're the first to hear about The Walking Dead and the first to see my videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.
Sorry,
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
come back. They surrounded the
Gabriel.
to the wagon.
Gabriel.